Okay, so welcome to my next scrap room video. If you're interested in a really quick walk around that doesn't show the details of how I have all of my supplies stored, I will link my general walkthrough video in the information section below and also in a card right here. But this is the detailed video, so this one is going to be quite long because I like to film a detailed scrap room video that is just as detailed as what I would like to watch if I were watching somebody. I love just looking inside of people's drawers and seeing how they have things stored, and so that's what I'm going to do here. If you've watched previous scrap room tours that I have made, a lot of this is going to be similar or exactly the same. So I do apologize that this one will be repetitive for those of you who saw especially my last scrap room tour, because many things haven't changed, because I feel like I've figured out a storage strategy system that works for me. If you're new to my channel, this will be all new to you, so great. Have a watch and let me know what you think. And there are several things that are new even if you did watch my last video, so I'll encourage you to watch anyways. Let's start here with this bank of cubes. So above the cubes we have some storage. I keep my mixed media, like my colorful mixed media stuff, right here, over here, and also to a lesser extent over here and over here and over here. So it's kind of spread out, but it's all in this general area of my room. So let's start here. This is a cube that's half the depth of most cubes, and I can't remember what this was purposed for at first, but I've kind of taken it apart and I use it like this, just as basically as a shelf. In this Starbucks big giant cup, I have my Jane Davenport mermaid markers, and in this photo mug I have some watercolor pencils. I have a lot of Prima ones and some really old Stampin' Up! Ones as well. And then I also have my Vicky Bouton craft crayons, or art crayons. Love those, so I have those there. And then I also have just this little basket of random, these are watercolor crayons from way back a long time ago when I didn't have any scrapbooking specific mixed media supplies. All I had was like art store mixed media supplies. Yeah, these water soluble crayon pastels, I really love them. They're very similar to distress crayons and really similar to these Prima water soluble oil pastels. They're really, really similar. I have way fewer colors in those, so I was happy when the scrappy companies started coming out with some of those supplies. Then in this little shelf here, I have all of my Prima watercolor sets. I also have an artist quality watercolor set. That's a palette. And then I also have this that I got, I got this from the art store, and it has all shimmery watercolors. And I do really like it, although the little pans fall out and they're all kind of broken. I have my Prima oil pastels right here, the water-soluble oil pastels, and then I also have my Pentel regular oil pastels there as well, which I almost never use anymore. Of my Prima watercolors, I have 4 sets of them, but what I've done is with one of the sets, this one, it looks like these are the Pastel Dreams, but they're actually not. What I've done is when I had the 4 sets, I took out all of my favorite pans. I created this little palette that includes all of my favorite Prima colors all in one place, and I call this my All-Stars. So these are, many of them are the bright colors and the tropicals, but some of them are the pastels as well, and there might be a neutral or 2 in there too. So I did stuff more in, like usually when you get a set of these, I forget how many comes in it, but there's only pans here, and then the center part is empty, but I just stuffed them all in so that I could fit more. So usually if I want to use Prima watercolors, I just grab this one. That way I don't have to grab all 4, because most of my favorite colors, all of my favorite colors, are in this one on the top. Then I have, these are washi tape dispensers that I didn't put the dowel in. Even when I use them for washi tape dispensers, I still didn't put the dowels in. And since then I've taken off, there's like a metal edge here that is for cutting the washi tape, and I take that off too so nobody cuts themselves on it. But I keep all of my Faber-Castell gelatos in this container, which is perfect. As you can see, they fit perfectly in there. And then in the one underneath, these stack on top of each other in a solid way, like they've got those little connectors between them. And so I keep all of my neutrals down here, and also little random tools and brushes and stuff that come with the Faber-Castell gelatos. In this really pretty bowl, I have my one set of distressed crayons. Not a huge fan of distressed crayons. I bought a set to try them and I really didn't enjoy them, so I haven't bought more since then. I do love these though. These are Ken Oliver Crafts Color Burst, and I have one set of those as well, and I adore those. They're so much fun to work with. I also have a set of Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolor inks. Love, love, love those. My friend Stephanie gave those to me for my birthday, and I really, really love working with them. Then up here, this is just a drawer from one of the cubes that has 4 drawers in it. So it's like, it's one of the drawers from this set of cubes right here. I have several of these, and I often will use the outer cube as a shelf, and then I'll use the drawers as separate shelves as well. So that's one of them from another one of those cubes. And I just have it mounted with these pegboard hooks, but the long ones so that it supports it. And up there I have 2 water bottles for when I do artwork, and also I have one of those spinny carousels that holds the ink tools, the ink blending tools from Ranger. And I have mostly square ones, but I do have a couple of round ones as well. In this little basket here, I have other ink blending tools and daubers and extra sponges and stuff. This is the palette that the Hydrus watercolors came in, and you can use it for a palette, so I just kept that. And then this is a water and brush cleaning tool from the art store. This is just plain water that I keep in a spray bottle right there. And this pegboard shows up in 3 places in my room. It was my dad's. He was a wood crafter, and he used to take his items to craft shows. And these were his display units. He had different shelves that he would display on these pieces of pegboard. And up there I just have some inspirational artwork. I have the skyline of New York City. I'm pretty sure that's a Studio Calico paper that I have cut down. This is Leonard Cohen and a quote from one of my favorite songs. This is artwork from Stephanie Hart and a little pencil card that she sent me. And also I have some artwork from one of my YouTube viewers right there, and some of those ink, what are these called? Smooch inks. I have a small collection of those too that I don't really use anymore, but I have them there in case I ever have the desire to use them. I do pull them out every once in a while. This little case here is my travel case for my traveler's notebook, watercolor on the go type of supplies, and I just keep it there so that I can grab it, fill it up with stuff if I ever need to bring some supplies to work. Sometimes if I have big gaps in my day, I'll bring some art supplies with me so that I can do something with those gaps. This is a brush holder. People have asked me about this before, so I will show it in a little bit more detail. So this is for holding tools. It's from Canadian Tire, and it fits on a standard piece of pegboard, and then it has all these holes in it, as you can see. Most of the holes are actually too big for the sizes of paintbrushes that I typically use, but I have them in it anyways because it is a nice way to keep all of my brushes upright. They dry really nicely there. After I clean them out upstairs, I bring them down here and just leave them there to dry. There are some like wide slats in it too that I use for things like my brayers and my larger paintbrushes. I have some toothbrushes and other things for mixed media supplies as well. And all of those brushes, some of them would go straight through the holes because, as you can see, the holes are way bigger. So I just have it set up so that another one of those drawers, this one doesn't have the handle on it, but it's just another one of those drawers, the same as that one over there. So I have it on its side, and then the paintbrushes sit on top of it. I have a piece of rubber shelf lining paper not paper, but like rubber right here that just keeps these brushes from wobbling around too much. And what would happen is if they were just on this, they would slip a lot. They would slip around a whole lot. So that just keeps them in place for the most part. So underneath of that, we have in that shelf, drawer that's been repurposed as a shelf, I have over here, these are some of my favorite mixed media color supplies. So these would be mists and inks and stuff and pots of watercolor from Shimmers. And I'm fairly new to Shimmers, but I've been receiving a lot of Shimmers products in my hip kits. And so that has given me a chance to really get to know this line of products in a way that I would have never had a chance to do. So I'm really pleased about that. And I'm just keeping them here because I don't want them to get lost in my other craft supplies, because I find that I actually really like these supplies better than some of my other mists and inks and stuff. So I want to keep them handy and not have to dig for them amongst my other supplies that I may have more of, but I don't really like as much as I like these ones. There's more pots back there, and then there's also some Vicky Bouton things over there. I just got these 2 empty bottles for like they're basically like fine liner bottles, but they're for dispensing ink. They're from Jane Davenport and they're for putting her inks in, but I picked them up just to see if I could play around with them with what I have. I don't really want to buy more products, but I thought that that might be a fun way to take, I don't know if maybe some of my re-inkers might work in those, or I don't know, I'm not entirely sure. They were a bit of an impulse buy. This is space that, as you can see from that little Freudian slip there, it says Distress Oxides Go here. So I was saving space here because I actually didn't have any Distress Oxides, but then I got 2 of them in a recent hip kit. So I was really pleased to have a couple of colors to start with, to start off my Distress Oxide collection, because from what I've viewed online, I definitely want to have a little assortment of Distress Oxides. So when I was at Michael's today, I just bought 3 more of the colors. They didn't have a huge color selection, but I just picked a yellow, a pink, and a pearl. I don't really love that yellow. I wish there was a more yellowy yellow. I do know that at this year's Creative Vision, they're releasing more colors that have more of a bright yellow that I think I would like. But anyhow, I got that one because, you know, I like all of the colors. So the thing I skipped in between here is all of this stuff. And these are on top of my basically 4 towers of cubes. And so because stuff is spanning different cubes, and these cubes do tend to, the higher you stack them and the older they kind of get more wobbly. These are quite old. So they do tend to like not be as stuck together. I know that you can take a binder clip and hold them together, and I've thought about doing that, but for now I have this piece of foam board that spans 2 of them. And then I just stuck this extra white shelf here just so that it evens out the height so that this isn't wobbly. I just kind of like jerry-rigged it up so that the things sit flat and they work really well, and I don't have to worry about losing little things in between the towers. So this is more mixed media stuff, with the exception of this little dish of sequins, and basically these sequins, I don't really have a good home for them, so they're here. Maybe I can find a better home now that my room has been changed around, but for now they're right here. So these are all different gessos and matte mediums. So that's matte medium, and then those are gessos. These are my tools that I reach for the most when I'm doing mixed media. So I have those there. So markers and like palette knives and those sorts of things, and water brushes. Then this is one of those like stepped Rubbermaid storage display things for your kitchen. So on this, I have all of my blank mixed media mediums. So what I mean by that is like uncolored things like texture paste, natural sand, extra heavy modeling paste, light molding paste. I've got some of this stuff that is for doing resists. It's like masking fluid for watercoloring. I've got high gloss finish, which I really only have for my doll collection hobby. But I have a variety of different things back there. And so that's what I have. Then I have some fine liner bottles with some, this is golden fluid acrylic paint in black and in white. And sorry that that's not focusing, but anyhow, that's that. And then I have just an empty extra one back there as well. And then this is a card that a lovely YouTube viewer sent me, so that's very lovely. So these are my cubes, and I did describe my cubes in quite a bit of detail last time. And I have a whole separate video that's all about how I store my pattern papers, and also that video goes into how I make these folders. So all of my pattern paper is stored by manufacturer in these little folders that I make. They're homemade with Ziploc bags and chipboard, and then a punch from the paper itself, like from the paper collection. So if you are interested in seeing how I make these storage folders and how I use them, you can check out that video. I'll link it in the information section, like in the corner of this video. But basically I store my pattern papers by collection right here, so you'll see that all of the collections are named. I don't really have a whole lot. I haven't bought many collections because I do get hip kits, and so I find that I don't really need to buy paper collections, but I do have some from some work that I do for Scrapbook and Cards Today, and also sometimes I'll buy them for myself. So here we also have, like, this is Studio Calico Miscellaneous papers, just because I have a lot of that. And then this is wood grain, ledger, and map paper in this folder. And then what I do is for any papers that I don't have a collection for, like I might only have 1 or 2 pieces from it, I don't have enough to really make a whole folder for, I sort it by color, starting right here with browns and creams, black, whites, and grays, reds, orange, yellow, green, blue, pink, and this last section is multicolored paper. So I love storing my paper like that. I love that I can see what I have at a glance and just kind of flip through it either this way or pull out the whole, like if I needed an orange paper, I just pull this out a little bit and then just flip through it and grab the piece that I needed. So that's a really great way for me. It just really works. We have loose cardstock that comes in kits that is colorful. Then I have my neutral cardstock in this little tray right here. In this little cubby right here, I have whites and browns and blacks and grays. And then this is specialty cardstock and paper. So I've got some Copic. I've got some paper for coloring with Copic markers. I've got some corrugated paper, foil paper, anything that's kind of unusual, glitter paper and that sort of thing. Then I have some Stampin' Up cardstock. These are my extra packages of white and black cardstock. This cardstock right here is just, I've got so much of it that I don't really need any subcategories or folders or anything to hold them together. But for these ones, what I'm using is, even though this might not all be American Crafts cardstock, I just use these American Crafts boxes that the cardstock comes in. I just always keep them and I use them as folders. They make a great folder for keeping your paper grouped together in clumps. So that would be those right there. So what you do is when you're ready to use that, you just pull off that strip and it becomes like a folder in for your little cubby. Then I also have some papers that are stored in these cropper hoppers. These are 8.5 by 11 Stampin' Up cardstocks. That's just miscellaneous stuff like Studio Calico paper bags and chipboard that comes in kits. Then these are things like magnets. This is how I buy my magnet sheets that I use for storing my dies on. There's also overhead transparencies and plain white label paper. And then these are just envelopes for storing things and some more cropper hopper folders. And then this is cardstock that is lower quality from my early days of scrapbooking when I didn't really know what I was doing and it didn't really matter to me if I had good quality cardstock. So above all of this paper storage, and I guess to the immediate left of this paper storage, we have another cube here that I only have a few shelves in. So this bottom shelf holds my buttons. Keep my buttons. My flare badges are on this piece of It's actually a magnet, but it's cupped, so the flare badges actually don't stick at all to the magnet, so I've actually had to run pieces of glue across it to hold them down, but that's okay. And then I also have this little, then I have my buttons in this container right here. They're sorted by color, and I love having my buttons like that. I don't use buttons a whole lot, but I do really love having them in my stash. They're nice to have when you need one. So this is just a collection that I really like, and I just didn't want it to get lost in my supplies. It's the Here Comes the Sun collection from Pretty Little Studio, and I adore all of Marie-Pierre Capistran's beautiful watercolor designs in this collection. So I just kept it out on this tray, which I have the space for that kind of a thing, so I thought I would just indulge a little bit and keep it out separate so that I could use it a few more times before it becomes part of my regular stash. So this next shelf it takes up the space of 2 shelves, but it's really 1.5 shelves. And so this one holds my chipboard in a Becky Higgins page protector tray. And I have my 12 by 12 inch chipboard pieces that come with different collection packs. So I have some of those, which I love. This is probably my favorite format to get chipboard in. And then I also have these thickers, like 6 by 12 inch packs of chipboard as well that usually come as part of a thickers package. So I have those right there, chipboard. And then I have older chipboard right here, just up on this little half shelf. And this half shelf is something that it was a full shelf, and I just cut it in half at the 6 inch mark with my new little saw that I have in my back room where our tools are. I just bought myself a little easy to handle, it's like a little scroll saw, and I have loved having that on hand just for modifying things and cutting things down and having like a nice cut edge on things. So anyhow, I just put that little shelf in there because I had cut it for someplace else, and I'll show you that when I come to it. So that's the first 2 towers of cubes, mostly paper and then those other things. The next tower of cubes has mostly my Stampin' Up! Stamps and also my Martha Stewart scoreboard and a couple of stamping accessories like a Stampin' cleaner, Stampin' Mist cleaner, and some pads, like some foam pads for stamping on. And my Stamp-O-Majig, which I don't really use all that often. I really only use it for woodblock stamps, which I don't use. Then this is the shelf that I cut the shelf for. This is the shelf that I cut in half, and I used the other half over here. This was my main reason for cutting it down, was to store my 6 by 6 inch paper on 2 separate shelves in this cube, so that I could have room on the front of it for putting an extra album and another couple of things if I wanted to. So that's what I use that for, and that's my 6 by 6 inch paper pads, and they're just kind of, pretty self-explanatory. I keep my one little word album right there for 2018, which I'm doing for the first time this year, and this is just a little bowl of little embellishments that go with my hip kit for the month of December, which I'm still working on. Below that, I have some drawers that includes rub-ons, vellum, and also glassine bags and transparencies. And texture. This is my texture drawer. It's basically just stuff from around the house or specific scrapbooking supplies that add a lot of texture to something. And so whenever I want a lot of texture, I just look into that drawer. Then the last cube over here is this one. So this is another modified cube that holds, I basically have it configured into 2 cubbies. This one has my current hip kits and all of the accessories and embellishments that go with it. And then this one has my freckled fawn kits and the pattern paper and stuff that goes with those now. And then below it, I have my one little word supplies that are just kind of set out in that bamboo tray. I have my Brother Charger 11 typewriter right there, which I really, really love. And then I have my border stickers in this drawer. Mostly border stickers, but also other random border-ish stuff. Then we have doilies. This says tabs and doilies, but it's really just doilies. These are my newest addition to my doilies collection. They're like a linen fabric. They're so pretty and soft and delicate. They're from Michael's, from the Recollections collection, or from the Recollections brand. Then for brads, I know I have shown how I store my brads. I've stored my brads like this for so long that I have shown it many, many times, but I will show it one more time for people who are new to my channel. So I keep my brads in, these are like little gray containers that a bunch of jewelry supplies came in for little kids. I actually bought, there were 3 of them together, and I bought the whole set of beads just for these containers, and I actually threw away the beads. My kids might have used them once or twice, but I really just wanted these containers because I like how shallow they are. They're not, like, that's how deep they are. And so what I do is I cut the foam. These are the foam pieces that brads used to come in back when brads were really hot. And I just poke the brads into them so that I can see at a glance exactly what brads I have, because if you just let brads sit around in a drawer, like in a little spot, they tend to go legs up like that, and you can't really see what they are without like doing quite a bit of digging. And so this is my way of storing brads, and I really like them like that, despite the fact that I don't actually use brads very much, because I don't know, I guess they're sort of outdated. I do still like them, but I just don't reach for them anymore. And then I also have some metal embellishments that I've used for either doll outfits or customizations or props or stuff, or for scrapbook. And then I just have overflow brads right there. And as you can see, I've got lots of different packaging here of brads that just I never did put into the packages, into the storage containers, I mean. So on these shelves, I store, these are some old mini albums that I made a long time ago. Then I keep my small letter stickers. These are for subtitles and like smaller titles. So I have a whole bunch of them, and I just keep them in this basket. I can pull this basket down anytime and just flip through it to see what I have. So as you can see, it's not really sorted either by size or by color. They're all just kind of stuck in here. And I just flip through until I find what I need, and then I pull it out. And as you can see, I really do have a lot of small letter stickers. I try to keep similar things together, so all these Kelly Perky ones, I keep those together. And the further back you go, the older the letters are, so I don't typically reach for these ones anymore. They're just kind of like too old and outdated, some of them. I don't know, some of them I actually like, which is why it's nice that they're stored mixed up, because sometimes I'll rediscover something that I forgot how much I liked because it's been in the back for so long. So, and then I just keep this here to keep them all from bending, because they're all pretty floppy because they're just made out of paper. So I just have a stiff, this is Becky Higgins packaging from the 6x12 page protectors, and just keeps them all standing up. And I like this basket for that purpose. Then I have a bag-in-bag that I keep alphabet stamps in. I keep my alphabet stamps mostly someplace else, so this is kind of the alphabet stamps that didn't make the cut. So yeah, that's kind of old stuff, I guess. I have a sticker maker that I don't use all that often, but you know, those are the kinds of supplies that when you need it, it's good that you have it, but I'm not sure that I would invest in it at this point if I were buying supplies, if I were setting up a scrap room right now. Then I have my Creative Memories. This is I think this is the medium one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is the medium. It's actually not closing properly. There we go. This is the medium one, and it stores all of my Project Life cards. I have my Project Life cards in here sorted by color. So I separated out all of my core kits. I have, I think, 3 or 4 core kits. And then I also have some extra overflow cards from a variety of different companies that I've bought kits from, like Studio Calico and other companies. Right now I get Kelly Perky ones, and I also get Hip Kit ones. So then this is a Project Life mini kit here that I got as part of the SET delivered pocket page kits, and so I have that here just because I want to remember that I have it. And then I keep my current Hip Kit Project Life kit right here on top of these drawers. These drawers are something that I got at Michael's, and I really, really love them, but I haven't figured out, I have a couple of ideas, but I haven't executed them yet about how I'm going to store stuff in these. I really do like them, and I'm going to use it for Project Life stuff, but as you can see, I just kind of like dumped a bunch of random Project Life stuff in them for now, and I haven't really sorted through or figured out exactly the best way to use them. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought yet. In the bottom two drawers, I have acrylic in one, and like acrylic pieces, and then I have my huge collection of shaped and fancy paper clips in this one. So then next to my Project Life storage, I have this other, it's another one of those shelves, it's a drawer that's on its side to make it into a shelf, and this holds all of my October Afternoon Mini Market letter stickers. Look at all the stickers I have, you guys. I went crazy buying these, as many of these as I could find about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. I just like literally scoured the internet and bought all of them because of course they're difficult to find now. I have my embossing powders in this tray, which I really like because it's see-through. These are all of my colored embossing powders, except for this one, which I just got and haven't put it where it belongs yet. But these are mostly colored embossing powders, which I don't use all that often, but again, it's nice to have them and know where they're at when you do need them. And then I have some old Freckled Fawn kits that I haven't had a chance to use yet, right there. Now, as I step back, you'll see that I have another set. I have another pegboard that matches the other one. I have 3 of those in total in my room, and so this is the second one. And this one, I just have these pegs, the long pegs, and they hold 3 shelves on this. Like basically, I have a peg here, a peg here, a peg here. 3 different spots on each of those shelves, and that allows me to make these shelves as big, spread out, or close together as I need them to be. So on the top here, I have mostly decorative items. I have a really big alarm clock from my daughter's room when she was a baby, and it's just kind of like big and bulky, and I don't really know where else to put it. I don't want to get rid of it yet because it kind of has some sentimental meaning. And then there's also a paper model of the brain there that my daughter made. It's like a 3D paper model, and I really like that, so I put it there. Then I have decorative paper from the Black Market, which is a store in Halifax, and also some Jane Davenport from Michael's there. And that's, you know, I can dip into that for scrapbooking or mixed media, but it's also really decorative. I think it looks pretty there. Some collectibles, and then I have my Prima chalk inks are in this little chipboard box, which is an Apple Watch box. I love Apple Watch boxes and iPod and iPhone boxes for using for little mini shelves. Then there's just other random things there on the shelf. Then I have all of my old mists right here. I have Adirondack color washes, and I also have Tattered Angels Glimmer Mists as well. And I used to store these someplace different because they're older and I don't really use them as much, but I would really like to be using them more. So I decided to put them out here, and it made good sense for them to be with my other mists. So these are the mists that I use a lot more often. These are the ones that I'm usually reaching for when I'm misting or adding splatters to my pages. A lot of them are Mr. Huey's because that's what I was buying when I accumulated the most of them. But then I've also filled in some of my mixing colors with Heidi Swapp Color Shine. And I only have one of these dilution sprays. I do really like it, and I would buy more, but like, look, I really don't need more. So, so yeah, it's one of those things that I discovered it after I already had a good collection of the other brands, so I don't really need more. So that's that. And those are hanging in these metal baskets that they actually are designed to hang from your Raskog, but I didn't want to put them on my Raskog, so I'm just hanging them. I've kind of like MacGyvered up a system here with hooks that go into my pegboard, and then the hooks hold on to the hooks or brackets or whatever those are called that hang the baskets. So that's that. And then over here I have this little faux apothecary cabinet here. I say faux because each of these drawers is actually just one. It's not really 9 drawers, it's just 3. And this one has tags, journaling cards, tags, and pockets. So it's a little hard to see because these big things don't fit into the places, so I just sit them on top. But that's how that looks. So journaling cards, these are all my tags, and then these are what end up being pockets. They're like envelopes or little pouches and stuff. Then you can see in here that I have all of my enamel dots and other enamel shapes in here. There's mostly leftovers from kits I've gotten. And then glitter tape and frames in here. So anything that is a frame, whether it's chipboard or fabric or cardstock or whatever it is, I just put it all in there. All right, so also on my desk here, I have a sheet, a kind of like patched together sheets of magnet to fill up this space right here, because I used to keep my dies that fit through my small die cut machine. This guy right here, the Cuddle Kids, is my tiny little die cut machine, and I was before I got this one, I was keeping it out on my desk here along with the cutting mats, and any dies that fit through it would be on there. I went to a crop one time and decided to put my dies instead, like my small dies, in this little flip book right here, which has 4x6. It's like a photo album. And so I have them on these magnet sheets. These are anything that fit through that small die cut machine right there. And so I have them all here, and when I came home from the crop, I thought I kind of liked having them this way, and so I decided to just keep them like this for now, and I may or may not go back to putting them on the wall. In the meantime, Spellbinders were very gracious and generous and sent me this die cut machine right here, which I adore. I love that it folds up and can store right on my workspace. I really love the footprint of it, and it is basically the same size as my Big Shot, so I can die cut any size dies. I'm not limited to just those ones, but not any size, but any dies that I had that fit through my Big Shot will fit through that. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So I like it so much that I don't think I really need my Cuddle Kids anymore. My Cuddle Kids is staying there just for now. I'm a little hesitant to get rid of it. I might take it off my desk for a while and see if I miss it. I have some little supplies here that I use for splattering. This is a new tool. It's from, I think it's from Liquitex. Yeah, and it's like, I think Ranger makes one of these too, that you just kind of like, it's got these, it's almost like a toothbrush, right? But you can just kind of like splatter ink off of it. So I thought I'd give that a try to see if it gives me different splatters than what I'm used to with my little inexpensive brushes. So before I talk about this space, I'll circle back and talk about these shelves here. So I do have a 17-foot desk that goes all the way to the end of my room, right over there where those lights are. And so it is attached to the wall with brackets like that wooden bracket right there, every so often. So I think there's 3 different places. Actually, I'll just show you so that you can see how it is. I should have vacuumed before I did this. So we have one there, we have one way down there, and we have one there. And it just has these L brackets that hold it in place, and then it's screwed into the studs, and it holds up the back part of my desk. But the front part of my desk just kind of floats, so I need to put stuff under my desk to hold it up. And that's why these cabinets come in so handy. So right here I have 3 banks of 2 cubes to hold up this part of my desk. In this one I have mostly white, clear, and black embossing, and also this is UD as well, so ultra thick embossing enamel, but I don't really use that anymore. I used to use it in mixed media projects and mini albums that I used to do, but now I mostly just use regular embossing powder in black and white and clear. I have that there. And then these are embossing tools, like brushes for cleaning things. I've got some powder for my powder tool, and just that sort of thing. These are just like random, some of them are even empty, old stuff, re-inkers, and foam, I guess. I don't even know what's in some of these. Yeah, so I keep my scraps in sorted drawers, and storing your scraps by color is not for everyone. You really do have to have quite a bit of space in order to make this work efficiently. But I do have quite a bit of space, so I have been storing my scraps like this for a very long time, and I really, really love it. It works really well for me, and it's well worth the investment of both the space and the extra little bit of time. It actually doesn't take as much time as you think to sort your scraps into colors if you have them in these drawers. So these are the 3-drawer cubes from Recollections or Jetmax. And the way I have it set up is basically when I'm finished with a kit or a project and I've got a whole bunch of scraps, I put the scraps right there and I sort them by color. And then what I do is I just basically, I open each of these drawers, this is what they look like, and I open them each just a little bit more than the last one. Kind of like this, just to demonstrate. So I'll open them like this, but I'll make it so that they're all able to be opened. And then I can just really quickly go and sort through and go like pink, red, orange, green, pink, blue, purple, and just kind of like sort them all like that, and then close them all up super quick. Just like that. And then I really do love being able to say, oh, I need just a small little bit of red, and I can just grab that red drawer. And I've been collecting these for so long that there's definitely a red. Like there's orange reds, there's red reds, there's pink reds, there's all sorts of, there's patterned reds and mostly plain reds. There's something in there that will meet my needs, I'm sure. So I really like that. So these drawers here actually have pretty significantly changed since my last video. So let me tell you about them. These drawers have my wood veneers. So I still store my wood veneers in the same containers. These are little clip closure containers, and they come in sets of 2 or 3, and I bought them at Michael's, and you can get them at different places. And they come with a lid for each one, but what I do is I get rid of the lids. I hung on to them in case I ever change how I'm doing it, but all but one, and I just stack them all on top of each other. I do sort my wood veneer by shape, but I put multiple packages into one container. So for example, these are my hearts, but there are several different kinds of hearts in here. There's hearts from Studio Calico, hearts from Freckled Fawn, and just a bunch of different hearts. So I do have kind of like 2 towers of those. And then you can also get like bigger boxes that are the same. And so my larger wood veneer that don't fit in there are in there. And then also my friend Christine sent me these beautiful little wood veneer embellishments that I often kind of dig into. They're not all wood, some of them are metal and stuff, but I just love having this little tray of delights to go through. It's very kind of nice to have some different things than what I'm used to having. It's been a long time since I've bought new wood veneer, so it's nice to have a little stash of new things. Then we have embellishments. Now, this is my second, like this is kind of like my embellishments used to be stored in this drawer, but over in a different spot. And this drawer was overflowing, so I decided to move it into 2 drawers. So these are both basically the same thing. I keep embellishments. I usually take them out of the packages and I put them in these containers, like iris containers. This one is called Options, but whatever the divided containers are. It doesn't have to be a certain brand. And then I just put extra packages of stuff that I haven't put into these containers yet, or that maybe I never will. I just put in the back. And I have another set right here with, like, see, these are the kinds of things that are, like, they're embellishments, but, like, I don't know where I would put them. I don't really want to put them with my stickers, and they don't really fit in these, so I just leave them there. And I have some things that some lovely YouTube people have given me or sent me, and look at these. These were in my Christmas stash, and I thought I could probably use those anytime, not just at Christmas, so I took them out. I might put them with my buttons at some point, but there's some more embellishments. Then I have a whole package, I have a whole drawer filled with packaging because, yeah. If you don't know much about scrapbooking, you would think that's a pretty strange thing to have a drawer full of. But I use it for masking things when I do splatter, and I also use it for using the packaging technique. And I also use it to cover up my shameful supply of old stuff that I don't want to get rid of and don't really want to figure out where to store. So I just put packaging in there. Then this is my drawer where I keep my Dymo label makers. I have a couple of them. I used to use these quite a lot in my early scrapbooking days, and I feel like I really want to get back to using them. So I put it over here. I put this drawer over here just so that I could have it at hand and maybe remember to use it a little bit more often. Then this drawer is squeaky, so bear with me. I have tape and twine, mostly twine, and a little bit of overflow of ribbon and trim and stuff in this pretty mixed up messy drawer, but I like it like that. I just dig for what I want when I need it. I'm not opposed to digging. There we go. See that? So there. Now, over here under my desk, I'm doing a few things a little bit differently. So I've always kept my heat gun right here. I keep it always plugged in and ready to go. It's easy to use that way. And then some new things that I'm hanging here, I just hang them on these command hooks. I'm keeping my hot glue gun, which I used to keep someplace else, and also my fuse tool right there. These are things that get hot and you have to kind of plug them in and wait for them. And so I thought keeping them there would be reasonable. And I have them plugged in to a power bar that has one of these plugs in it, and that is a remote control plug. And so it's connected to the same thing that my lights are connected to, so that when I turn off my lights, I am also turning off the power supply to these two things. So that means I can't accidentally leave these plugged in and forget about them. So when I leave for the day, at the end of the day, when I'm all done, if my lights are out, then I know that these are off. I do the same thing with my coffee warmer over there because I'm extremely forgetful, and I will leave things like that on by accident, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, I left that on, and I'll come down and it disrupts my sleep and it's not good. So this is what I do for my own sanity. Then in this is like a little mail sorting type of thing. It's also from Jetmax. And I used to keep my kits in it up on my desktop. I used to keep it right there. But I've moved it down here, and I keep just stuff that goes along with some of these other things. So I keep extra wax paper when I pull off too much. I don't want to waste it, so I just put it in there. This is what I keep my hot glue gun on when it's heating up. And then there's also, like, this is my sewing machine pedal and the cord for my sewing machine, and that's my battery charger for my camera, and then that's a cord for my mint, and that's so anything that kind of I need to reach for, I just make it so that it's in these drawers so I can pull it out pretty easily and get it. Not drawers, but in that little whatever you call that thing. Then on the other side, I had to have a Jetmax cube under here, but as you can see, if I had them pointing straight out, it would waste the shelving because of this desk being right here. So what I did was I made it sideways so that I can have a little place that I can just reach for things that I reach for a lot. So typically when my paper towel roll isn't as full as that, my paper towel is up there. So I usually keep my paper towel and wax paper there, and this is like a little tabletop sweeper tool. So it's good for if you get like glitter embossing powder or something. This comes out of that. This is like these two things separate and you can just brush, but you need two hands to do it. I only have one right now. Then I keep my little Creative Memories trimmer right there and my Stampin' Up! Trimmer right there. Then, only because they fit so well there, I don't really need these things at my hands all the time, I have deli paper, and non-latex gloves, just because they fit there. And then again, just because it fits there and I need to put it somewhere, these are my large dies that go in my grand caliber die cutting machine, and I don't really have a place to store them, so I keep them there. These are the cutting mats that go with my Spellbinders cutter that's right there. And then beside it, I keep my 6x12 inch bags that I repackage my thickers in. And this is new, I didn't used to keep them here, but I really love having them at my fingertips. Back behind this cabinet, this little thing of cubes, I have a little orange juice thing that's filled with water because I don't have a tap or a sink down here. And then in this green wire basket is where I keep my paper recycling. So this goes into a blue bag every week. So now on my workspace, I have my Martha Stewart mat. This is a 24 by 18 inch cutting mat. I love it. It's not a cutting mat, it's just a work mat. I really love it. And what I've been doing, I used to do this and then I stopped, and these are from outlining, and I'm pretty sure that they will come off if I wipe them off with the proper cleaning supplies. But I don't want to have my mat looking like that, so I try to keep a piece of Stampin' Up! Grid paper, because this is bigger than 12 by 12, and if I'm outlining a 12 by 12 piece of paper and I go off the edges, I'm going to go on that instead of on my nice mat here. This is a kit that I need to do a video about. Then up here we have, these are 2 Martha Stewart storage units from the from Staples, from the office supply store, and they hold just things that I reach for a lot, or not at all, like this. So this is the We Are Memory Keepers staple board, which I never use because it doesn't really work with my workflow. It is a good tool, I do like it in theory, and I was excited to get it, but then I never use it. It's one of those tools that just doesn't work with my workflow. Keep extra staples in here. Then these are tools like pokers and cutters and knives and stuff. Then I have a large roller stamp. This is by Pebbles and it has letters. And then these are my swatch books. So all of my mists that I store up there, they all have a swatch right here. These are Tim Holtz tags cut out of white paper. So I have the die for making tags by Tim Holtz. And then I got lazy and just started putting torn pieces of paper because I didn't want to do I didn't want to make more tags. So those are all of my swatches of ink so that if I need a certain color I can find it. And then this is my little swatch book, which I have a video about, but it has all samples of all of my inks in the front and different media. Like I think I have my gelatos in here. Yeah, I do. My gelatos and a variety of different things. And then in the back I have all of my markers, and I have them on white as well as black when that's kind of when it makes sense to do that. That's my book. So then next to that I have just the inks that I reach for the most and some stamping blocks, and all of my roller date stamps are up here. They're usually all showing so that you can see the phrases on them. This mint blue one from Dear Lizzie is probably my favorite one. I love that one. I also really love this Studio Calico one with the wood grain handle. Those are my 2 favorites. These are some of my favorite glues, my Tombow Mono Multi and my Stampin' Up glue pen. These are just Freudian slips that I use for, like, they're basically just Post-it notes. And then I have more swatches here. So these are all of my different white pens. I have a couple of new white pens that I haven't put on here yet, so that has to happen. And then these are my sewing swatches for my sewing machine. All right. This right here, this white thing, is my Making Memories embellishment center, and boy was I happy to buy this when I bought it. And I love having all these things on my wall in front of me because it's so easy to reach for them. So I keep a combination of collectibles, and up there, because it's hard to reach it because of my lights and my camera, I just keep like almost nothing or stuff I don't know where to put, but I do keep my glue dots up there. So mostly inks. So I've got my Mama Elephant pigment inks right there. I have some Brilliance inks. I have some Jane Davenport washi that I didn't want to get mixed up in my washies. I have some upholstery thread that I use on layout sometimes. My Liquitex acrylic inks, some re-inkers and more thread, and more Liquitex acrylic inks. I have the first dolls that I ever collected were Strawberry Shortcakes. These are not them, but these are original Strawberry Shortcakes from the 80s. My friend bought them for me because now I do collect other dolls, and so I think it's kind of neat to have my original that are, like I said, they're not mine, but they're mine now. And then my Neon Hero Arts inks are up there, and just a variety of different things. Those are my Charmkins from my own childhood, right there and there on either side of apricot there. Then over here I have this cup from Chapters that I keep all of my favorite pens. These are the pens I reach for the most, and a pencil. And then this is a marker caddy that I have my markers organized and stored in, and also my colored pencils right there. And that's just kind of like a microphone and some stuff for when I live stream. So then I have a Making Memories tool caddy. And this just holds all of my supplies that I reach for the most. Back behind it, I have a basket of bulk sequins that I bought from eBay for dirt cheap. Love those. And then next to it, slash kind of diagonally behind it, I have my Epson Picturemate Charm. This is a workhorse of a printer, and I thought I was going to have to replace it. This Christmas it started being really blobby and unable to be cleaned, and then one day I came and used it and it worked fine. So far it's still going strong. This is the PM225. As soon as it conks out, I'm going to get the Picturemate. The Picturemate, I think it's the 400 is the newer one. I'll do my research before I actually buy it, but it's the one that prints in 4x6 as well as 5x7. So I'll be buying, because I adore that printer. And I'm glad I don't have to replace it yet, but I've had it for so many years that I'm sure I'll have to replace it at some point. And when I do, I'm just going to get the same printer, but the updated version of it. So this is the desk. This is my desk. It's been in my husband's family for many, many years. I love it for a couple of reasons. I love it because it's so deep that each of these drawers can hold so much stuff. Like so much, like that's a normal drawer, and then it just kind of keeps on going and going and going. Oh, there you saw my address. Oh well. Like, so here's specialty cameras and printers, and then like way in the back is where I can keep even more stuff. So I love that about this desk. I also love that even though it's really old and it's meaningful to me that I have it, I love that it's kind of not been treated the best, and so I don't have to worry too much about having some, you know, family heirloom that I'm going to be really worried about getting stuff on. Obviously the people who've had it before me have really kind of shown it lots of love and really used it, so I don't have to worry too much about it being ruined in my care. In this little spot here, this is new too, and I love keeping these here. I keep my Tri-Art palette and also a white foam core board for taking pictures and using as a background. This right here, if you're wondering what it is, it's a UPS, an uninterrupted power supply. And so these USB ports, they don't go to my computer, but they are power ports. So I could charge a phone or charge my print. I could, like, for example, plug in my printer with the cord here and power it. I can also power my Mint through it. So I really like that. This is a drawer that I use for garbage. And then I do have a port right there on my wall that has, it's basically a USB hub, and it plugs in anything that needs USB power from up here, which is mostly my webcams and stuff that I use for live streaming. So I'll show you my video recording supplies as well. So I have these two Canadian studio lights. They came in a light kit that I got on Amazon. It was really inexpensive. Great investment. I love having light from both sides. Prior to this, for several years, I had a big giant light that shone straight down, and I would get a lot of reflection back on things when I had the one light, and so I really like having the softer light from the two sides instead. They do hang from my ceiling, which is something that we kind of MacGyvered up. We added this bulkhead to my ceiling, which my ceiling is unfinished, as you can see. We need to put in a bulkhead, but I just wanted to get into the room fast, so I said, forget it, just leave it like that, and I just want to scrap. So we just left it. But from the ceiling hang a couple of things. I talk about this in a separate video, but okay, I won't focus with my hand there. Okay, so those are photography clamps that Scott attached to the wood, and then we basically had to cut off the legs from the light stands that came in this kit so that it's just like a pole instead of a light stand, and then it goes into that clamp. And then we use different hooks and Velcro and stuff to manage the wires there. And then there's a stick of wood that kind of comes down, and my camcorder is angled so that it's facing straight down. I'll show you how that looks when it's turned on. So the camcorder that I use for all of my process videos is the Canon Vixia HF-R500. And I really love having a camcorder because you can, first of all, it has a flip screen so that I can get feedback about what it is that's recording. And I can kind of tilt this down like that when I'm sitting and move it up like that when I'm standing. So I really like that. And you have a lot of control, and also you can record for as long as you have memory card to record for, as opposed to with my DSLR that I had before, I could only film for 10 minutes at a time or 8 minutes at a time. And then other DSLRs that I've looked at in the future, like since then, not in the future, but since then, they've had like 20-minute limits on how much you can record. And so I just thought, I just really like using the camcorder. So the camcorder is actually attached using this C-clamp, which is a photography gear supply. So the C-clamp, and then this thing right here is like the threading. It has a screw for a tripod hole, so it just screws right into the tripod hole of my camera, and then the charging cord for my camera goes up there. My camera is always plugged in, and so that's how I film. And then I also have another camera connected to that. So this is a Manfrotto tabletop tripod, and I just have it closed up and taped around the piece of wood, and so that it's dangling. So then my webcam just kind of screws right into that dangling tripod, and that becomes my overhead cam for when I'm live streaming. Then I have another webcam that I use for live streaming, and that's my face cam, and it's just clamped to my shelf there using another clamp that's basically a photography supply. And then I have, it's attached to this, which is basically just a screw, and then I just put that in there and tighten it. So then when I'm narrating or when I'm live streaming, this is the microphone setup that I have. I have a blue Yeti and a blue pop filter and a blue Radius or Radium, I think it's called a Radius, shock mount, and it's all attached to a Rode boom arm that is attached to my desk right there. And I really like that because I can just push it up and out of the way. As you can see right now, it's well out of the way, and then I can just pull it in front of me like this when I'm about to do my narration, like that. And then when I'm live streaming, I just pull it over here and down here, and it catches me when I'm live streaming as well. So this desk holds my computer, my planner, which is a personal planner. I love this personal planner. And what I do when I'm making process videos is this planner is just for my YouTube channel, and so I haven't been doing much YouTubing this week because I have been finishing my floors and that sort of thing. But typically my weeks look more like this, where I have a lot of projects. All of these stickers are projects that I have on the go. So this is a process video that I'm in the process of making, and I filmed it on Thursday and it's now Saturday. And so these are just little stickers that I print up. I print up a whole bunch of them and cut them up, and it just has all of the steps that I have to go through when I'm making a process video, except I have to modify it. It's kind of my old list of things that I used to have to do, but now I also have to share it to Patreon, and I've got a couple of other things. So next time I make these up, I will modify it a little bit to make it work for me better. This desk, one thing that I wanted to point out is that it has these extra surfaces that you can pull out. I adore this. It's great for drying things or just having extra surface, and I actually really love using this because it supports me when I'm using my trackpad. I rest my arm on it, and I think that it keeps me from getting carpal tunnel syndrome because it's very, very, very comfortable. So on this side we have my Razcogs, another bunch of cubes, some shelves on the wall and on the floor, and kind of like a hallway here that has some Jetmax over here and some other storage over here. So let's talk about that. This bank of Jetmax cubes that holds my printer, 2 sewing machines, and typewriter, 6 of the cubes face this way and 2 of the cubes face this way. These are cubes that hold some of my most used supplies, so let's have a look at them. This is my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter, which I love. So this one is die cuts. I keep my die cuts in these 4x6 boxes, and they're iris boxes, and they're made for photos, but lots of crafters use them for lots of different things. I just have a little swatch that says what color. I sort my die cuts into the colors and put them in these boxes, and this is just Sharpie marker that I use to indicate on the tops of the boxes what color die cuts are inside. This one is black and white, this one's gold, and that one's brown and creams. Then there are some die cuts that I actually don't sort into colors, and those would be either recent collections, like I have Maggie Holmes' Carousel collection here, or really distinct collections, like I have Heart and Hustle here, that if I'm looking for, and also I have Cute Girl, if I'm looking for something by Cute Girl, I'm not going to want to have to think about which color was the dress on that doll or the cat or whatever. I'm going to want to look in one place for those because they have such a distinct look. And so I do kind of sort things in different ways at the same time. I didn't show you inside of all of these drawers. I don't know if you want to see inside of them, but this is mostly admin type of stuff, like notebooks and idea books and like scraps of paper and photo paper and stuff. And then this is stationery and printing supplies. I have some, these are templates for dies that I have, some business cards and things for mailouts. Then this is specialty printing and paper and stuff. Then this one has like computer cords and charging cords and that sort of thing, and some powder for my terribly oily skin. And then we have, these are all devices for holding other devices or cameras, microphone equipment, and that sort of thing. Okay. So now let's move on to this drawer, which is favorite shapes. So in here, these are all of my favorite shapes, and many of them come on sheets. So manufacturers make things like these puffy stickers that are hearts, these ones that are hearts. I've got pluses and hearts, stars, arrows. Some of these are old and some of these are new, more stars. And over here I have all of these. Studio Calico used to make a lot of these sorts of sheets of shapes, cameras, triangles, those sorts of like neutral shapes that you could use on almost any page. Now Bella Boulevard makes a bunch of these as well. And so these are kind of like universal shapes that you could use for almost anything, speech bubbles, so on, right? So if it's in a sheet format, I just stick it either here or there. And if it's not, like if it's loose, then I'll put it in the appropriate boxes. So, and I just kind of doodle the shape. So these are any things that are flowers. I have butterflies, my crude drawing of a butterfly on there, stars, hearts. These are all my hearts. So a lot of it ends up being chipboard, right? But what I wanted to show you is that for arrows, I have a lot of arrows because I love arrows. And I also stuck in there, along with all of my chipboard and cardstock and different kinds of arrows that I have, I also put this set of arrow dies and also this set of arrow dies. Because if I can't find the arrow that I need, then I could cut the arrow that I need. So it's nice for me to have those arrows together, even though they're different formats. So now this is new. These drawers here, journaling stickers, stickers, dimensional stickers, and word stickers, they used to be in these drawers right here, these wider drawers, these ones. And I used to say that I enjoy, and I was not lying, but I used to say that I enjoyed just pulling out the drawer and leafing through it, and they were a mess, and I liked them being a mess because you'd kind of like discover new things as you flip through it. But what I have found is that I wanted some more order to them. So I decided to put them in these smaller drawers. And when they're in the smaller drawers, they can sit on their sides like this, and then I can flip through them a little bit more easily. Like they're still not all that sorted out, as you can see. But they're at least a little bit easier for me to see what I have. So these are all journaling stickers. So these would be any kind of stickers that you could write on. Either a caption, something small like a caption, or a significant amount of journaling. There's also these like little Jelly Bean journaling cards. Like they're not all stickers, but they're mostly stickers. And then I also have this case of my very crudely drawn label. This case of labels that are not stickers either, but they kind of look like stickers, so I put them in here. Then these are just regular stickers. So these are, you know, stickers that come with different collections or coordinate with different collections, or standalone stickers, sheets, whatever. Some of them are old, some of them are new. It's all kind of mixed up. I really like having them this way. It's really working out well for me. Then dimensional stickers. Because they're dimensional, they're, you know, they take up a lot of space, but they mostly end up being puffy stickers. But as you can see, there are some other things in here besides puffy stickers, like those felt dots and like cork pieces and layered wood pieces, and basically anything that stands out from the page a little bit is in here. And then these are words, and it varies from, like these are loose words like acrylic or vellum words or whatever, and then word stickers like the little word accents that you add, or big word accents or titles. And so we go from, you know, little words like that to back here we have bigger words that could be used for titles and stuff back there. So in that Rubbermaid container right there, I keep mostly stuff that I could use for mini albums. So those could be empty mini albums, paper bags, chipboard, things that I could make into mini albums, or things that were store-bought to go like to be mini albums. Also, I keep my contact paper in there that I sometimes use for die cutting to make stencils with my silhouette. Okay, so moving on from there to over here, we have 2 Raskog carts from IKEA. I have videos already about my 2 Raskogs that go into quite a bit of detail of how I have my letter stickers organized in my first one that I got. Then the second one that I added has my embossing folders, dies, and stamps, and stamping related tools and stuff. And I do have separate videos for those, so they will be linked in an information card in the top right hand corner of this video. So that's those, and I really love having those supplies in those carts because it means I can pull them over to my workspace and dig in them and find the things that I need and not interrupt my workflow. So right here I have some shelves that are mostly, I mean, I put these up here with the purpose of them just being decorative to hold some of my collectibles. So I do collect Vinylmation from Disney, and so you'll see a couple of those around there. I have these Big Bang Theory pop figures and some wooden toys that my dad made. And then I added this third one. So those two have been there for quite some time, since before my desk was under there. Those used to be above my desk. Then I added this third one because I decided to keep my punches in here, and I ran out of room, so I needed some more. So I put a third one of these. These are half depth Jetmax cubes or Recollections cubes or whatever, and they're made to hang on the wall. And so, or some of them are made to hang on the wall, and then others we just hung on the wall because we wanted to. So, so yeah, I have some punches right here. Never mind that, that's in the wrong spot. But I have border punches all here and here. I have all of my heart punches right here, including that little confetti heart punch right there. So I do have them sort of organized. Borders, hearts. Right here are mostly circles, although there is one square. Circles and scallop circles and pinked circles are all right there together. And then down here we have all the other shapes that aren't in any of those categories. And so, and also I have my handheld punches right there and my corner chomper right there. So, and those two little shelves in there that have paper inside of them, those are wooden IKEA shelves from quite some time ago. I don't think you can still buy those anymore, but I really love those. Balancing on top of this wheelie cart type of a Recollections cube tower. It's not really cubes though, because it's just like this rectangular tower. It used to have a dowel on the side that held, well, it was made for ribbons, but I used to keep my paper towel and my wax paper there. But I removed the dowel because I wanted to have my Razcogs right up against this and not pushed out too far so that it got in the way of my closet door. So this holds mixed media supplies, and there is storage in here, but it's empty because you can't get at it, because normally this isn't here, and there would be like little cubby holes in the bottom of this that you could put like tubes of stuff or something in. So anyhow, I don't use that. That's just completely empty and you can't really get to it. So in these baskets, I have palettes right here and just other things like Mod Podge that don't, like I don't use Mod Podge because it doesn't dry in my climate. Then we've got texture and tissue paper. So this is mostly tissue paper, but I also keep this Ziploc bag of just things that I use for texture. And they include like little tools and supplies and screens and brushes and sponges and stuff. And also lots of different tissue paper here. And then down here in this bottom one, I just have a bunch of mixed media supplies, like some letter stencils and some old inks that I don't really like very much. So I just kind of use them if I'm using something that I don't want to ruin a good ink pad, I'll use it for this. I also have some art, like from a class that I took, and some stamps that I don't really use anymore. Sometimes I'll go into this when I need to do a project with the kids, or if I'm doing a project with clients at work. The second tower, these are actually stacked cubes. So, and this one does have wheels on it, although I think I'm going to take the wheels off of it just so that it can stay still, because I never move it. And with this stacked on top of that, it's not attached in any way, and I really don't want that to move. So on top of this, I have my Wheel of Wonder, which spins and gives me ideas of things that I can do in my scrapbooking. I have my very large jelly plate. This is my, what is it, 12 by 14 inch jelly plate. And also my 12 by 12 Misty tool. I have a bunch of magazines that I just like cut things out of for mixed media. I have a smaller jelly plate right here, which is a really small one. It's a 4-inch round. And I mostly had that for work. And then I have, this was my first jelly plate. that I got and loved so much that I bought the bigger one for doing background. I really wanted to do backgrounds, like 12 by 12 backgrounds. So this 8 by 10 just wasn't cutting it, so I got another one. This is one of my art journals. This is paint. So I keep my basics, my Liquitex Basics paint, I keep in this drawer here. And this is one of those drawers that goes in one of these. So I actually bought one of those and didn't put it together. Actually, I did. I put the drawers together to use them as these shelves, but I used the actual thing itself, I think is one of these. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyhow, so I keep my neutrals. I do have golden fluid acrylics in here too. Just because I don't have another place to put them. They're about the same size, and I have like big ones of black and of white. But basically, I keep my blacks, whites, and grays here. I keep my cools in the next little bin, and then my warms in the farthest bin in. And I don't have a ton of those, but I have just enough to be able to get plenty of colors if I mix and stuff a little bit. Rubber stamps, I don't have that many, but I like these ones, so I need a place to store them, so that's where I keep them. Then we have a Becky Higgins 12, I have a Becky Higgins page protector that I use to keep my stencils in. So my stencils, I just keep them here. These are my small ones. So it says on the side there, stencil small. And this includes like all of my Tim Holtz ones that all go together and layer together. I have a bunch that came in hip kits. And I love this star one. It's one of my favorites. And then I have 2 sets of the, do I have 2 or just 1 set? I think I just have the circles of the Vicky Bouton layerable stencils. I really love those. And I also have this stencil, which I also really love layering with these circles. So nice. I have a couple of homemade stencils as well. So like this one, for example, is from a cut file. I don't know if you can even see that. If I put it, yeah, there, maybe you can see it there. So this is a cut file from Jen Scow. Got it from a class that I took from her, Make an Impact. And I just turned it into a stencil by cutting it out of contact paper. I basically stuck 2 pieces of contact paper together, sticky sides together, so that the smooth sides are on the outside. And then I cut it with my Cameo. So underneath those stencils, I keep my cutting mats. So this is a nice new cutting mat, like a self-healing mat. This is my original self-healing mat that I used for mixed media as well, so it got all really gunky and gross. And then I have a glass cutting mat as well. That's just my old slice cutting mat. Then my large stencils I keep in another one of those Becky Higgins cases, or not cases, but trays. And those are basically the chipboard boxes that the page protectors come in. So in this, I have a couple of masks that I use when I'm jelly printing to put like a square, like a border around, either a square or a circular border around my 12 by 12 designs. Then I have some stencils that I made myself with my pick scan. I made those like silhouette girls with magazine cuttings, and I also have some faces from Julie Faye Van Balzer. I have some pattern papers that I actually use as a stencil. This is a Stencil Girl stencil. I've got a whole bunch of stencils. This is one that I made out of the same technique of sticking contact paper, only in this case I stuck contact paper to cardstock so that it's not see-through. Then in this next cupboard I have, it's called Card Stuff, and it has all card stuff. So there's some sentiments, this pad of paper that's like card blanks that can be folded. There's some leftover stuff from cards I was making. There's some envelopes that are weird sizes, some card boxes that I just have made like one-offs of and then kept it to use as a template for if I ever want to make a box of cards to give to somebody. These are card blanks, so mostly these are like, this is what I mean by card blanks, so already cut cards that I can grab, and also mostly envelopes are actually in this, so it's kind of mislabeled. Then my fuse accessories, of which I only have like 2 or 3 things, are in here. They probably don't need their whole drawer, but they've got it. Nuvo crystal drops are right in here, along with, this is just like a thing that I have some samples made so that I can know what they look like. I didn't do full like official swatches, but these are the colors of Nuvo crystal drops that I have. And then I also have some similar products back here. Most of these are liquid pearls, but there's also a couple of these Scribbles fabric paint as well, because they kind of work the same as Nuvo crystal drops. They're not quite as good as Nuvo crystal drops, but they're close. And then I have my drawer of stickles, my stickle sample swatch thing here. I also have some of, my smooch inks are there as well, and my distress stickles as well. So let me see. Then those are all my stickles. I keep them upside down in watch boxes. So this is a Roots watch box and another watch box. And whoops, what's going on here? These are a little bit out. There we go. And then I have other, just anything sparkly or holographic or whatever is in here too. I don't really, these are like extreme glitter paints. This is Diamond Dust, which is an old product, and more of that glitter paint. I don't really use loose glitter. I don't usually use loose glitter very often, but if I need it, it's in there. Beside that, we have this little cube that is from the Wicker Emporium, and it holds these 2 baskets that came with it. And one of them has my wood block stamps, and also like this paper that I use for unmounting wood block stamps. I would ideally like to not have any wood block stamps, but I do have some, so they're there. And then this is tools. This is basically just old tools that I don't use anymore. I have a heat gun that I don't use anymore. I have one of these Stampin' Up! Things for making your marker make splatters. And I used to use this a long time ago, but then I got my own splatters and I stopped using it. On top of this is my Stampin' Up! Color Caddy. So this holds all of my Stampin' Up! Inks. I only have very few empty spots on this, so I've had to stop buying Stampin' Up! Inks because I just don't have enough space to store them. And plus, I mean, look, I've got a lot of colors. You don't really need more than that. On the top of it, I keep just random stuff that I need. What are these? Oh, re-inkers. Oh, I didn't know they were there. Okay. And some alcohol and Stampin' Mist and these little containers and lids right there. Oh, I guess there's only one container and some lids. My stamp chamois and other miscellaneous little rags hang off of this thing. Then right beside that, I have this bookshelf, which is largely empty, or at least the top shelf is empty. That is an anxiety workbook that I have down here because I'm going to be using it, and I keep forgetting to do it. I have relaxation tracks that I give to my clients where I'm kind of narrating progressive muscle relaxation type of exercise, and they're old school, like they're old formats. I have them in MP3s, but anyhow, I need to update them. And so I just need to do some recording there with my microphone, so that's why that's here. But this is mostly empty. And then down there, I have a whole bunch of inspiration books and magazines and so on. Some journals as well. Above those things, I have more of those shelving units that are on brackets on the wall. And so on this shelf right here, I have my Big Shot and its platforms, and then I have this basket that holds mini albums. Then I also have my Grand Caliber and all of its platforms and also its instructions right there. This is a box that holds washi tape, and it can also hold like other things. I think it's like a spice rack, although I've never seen, people have said it's just like a spice rack, but I've never seen a spice rack like this. But anyhow, that's how it is. I have my washi sorted loosely by color. So those are my blues and greens and browns. And then I have my reds and oranges and yellows. And then I have grays and blacks and multicolor right there. And then ones that I've been too lazy to put away. And I have a cute little washi Shopkin right here. I thought he was so cute, so I kept him there. Baby monitor and a Scentsy warmer right there. And now right beside this album right here is just all of the cards, like collector's cards. Every time that you buy one of these dolls, these are pull-up dolls that I collect, and I have more over there. And when you buy these dolls, you get a collector card with them. Usually, a few dolls don't come with them. And also, I collect other miniatures that also come with little collector cards or little pamphlets and stuff. So I keep all of those things inside of this. It's actually the perfect size. So this is one of those snap binders, and I just use my Erin Condren elastic on it. And then these are my collector's cards for all of the dolls that I have. And then also I have little, like, I have a Rement collection of miniatures, and so I have all of like the information things for those as well. So then I have this little Peter Pan display here, and I printed that background with my large format printer. I just found it online. I think it's an image from Peter Pan's Flight, which is a Disney ride, which is my very favorite Disney ride of them all. So I was really pleased to have that. These are dolls that I actually, for the most part, purchased the way they are. So of my doll collection, these ones over here include lots of ones that I customized, and two that I actually made from scratch. Like they had no hair and no makeup, and they were completely blank, and I just made them. But a lot of these ones are customized, but these ones are mostly not customized. So Tinkerbell actually came just like this with all of those clothes on, and Peter Pan as well. Then I have Tiger Lily and Captain Hook up here, and I thought that Tiger Lily, rather than waiting around for Peter Pan to save her, I thought that Tiger Lily should just take matters into her own hands and overcome and tie up Captain Hook and have him, and now she's just waiting for Peter Pan to show up. She's already kind of won that battle. This is Peter Pan. Now the pull-up company, Groove, is the company that makes these, and they actually don't have a Wendy like they have all these other characters. So I made my own Wendy with another doll. So this is Merle. This is a doll that isn't part of that collection, but I just dressed her in a nightgown and thought that she looked at least a little bit like Wendy. And I put a bow in her hair the way that Wendy has as well. So, and Tink is kind of looking angry and jealous. And there's the darlings. I put them in the photo on the bedside table. So anyhow, I just kind of made this display because I love Peter Pan, and it was really cool that the company that I collect dolls from happens to have all these Peter Pan dolls. So I thought I had also the Peter Pan line of dolls from Groove were some of the dolls that were available at Tuesday morning, and so that means that their price came way down on the market, both the kind of like the collector's market, like where we buy from each other, as well as just like retailers couldn't sell them for as much anymore. So I got these dolls for really cheap, so that was always nice too. I have a couple of more albums right there, and then I do have a space here because there's another doll that I'm going to put on display right there. I just haven't had a chance to take her out of her box yet. So that's that. And then above here I have my ring for my product showdown, and then I have a couple of other albums. I'm thinking that this album, which was part of a December Daily project from, I think from last year, from the Hip Kit Club, it's a Studio Calico album, and it's like a 6x8 album. It's empty right now, and I think I'm going to use it for my project life for 2018. This is my December Daily from 2016, which I didn't really complete, and then this is December Daily from 2017, which I did complete. These are my extra trimmers. They're not my everyday trimmers, but they each have their own pros and cons, and I do still use them, so I just put them up there. And then this is my Bind It All by Zutter, which I use when I make mini albums, and a couple of other things there. I've already showed you the other side of that. It has all my stickers in it. But right here I have more mixed media stuff. So this is right across from this mixed media stuff. So this is kind of like a continuation of my mixed media stuff that is over here, right? So I've already shown you that earlier in the video. So right here we have a couple more journals. So I have a journal here and a journal there. I have kind of like big pads of paper. There's tracing paper, there's palette paper, there's watercolor paper, and different specialty papers. Then these are foam stamps for mixed media, but there's also a couple of other things in here. Like these Vicky Booten things that I bought at Crop and Create last year and still haven't used. I totally have to use these. They're beautiful. So these foam stamps I use for mark making. Then this is my box of mark making stuff. It's basically, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of stuff in here, but it's just kind of like found items that I can, and like scrapers and stuff that I can make marks with and paint. In these drawers, I have foam, mostly pink. I have fun foam here, and you can use this in place of dimensional adhesive, but I was cutting a bunch of, the reason there's so many circles in here is that I was making a bunch of shaker cards, and I had to cut, like, they were circle shaker cards and they had frames, so that's what that is. And then this is all Traveler's Notebook stuff. This is some stuff that one of my lovely patrons sent me, and there's just like various, like my Traveler's Notebook is in there and stuff, I don't know exactly what, and another art journal. I've got art journals everywhere. Then this is coloring stuff, and mostly bags and packages that I don't know what's in this. Oh yeah, these brush pens, these Ecoline brush pens. I've had those for a while. And I used to practice brush script lettering. I also have these little nibs for doing colored pencil blending and stuff, and I have the solution there. Then here we have craft paint. And I try to put little dabs on the tops of all of my craft paint so that I can see what's inside at a quick glance. Then I have more craft paint. Then I have heavy body paint and also golden fluid acrylics. I just recently got this and this because I am taking a course by Irit Landgraf on painting, and I just got those because she was showing them and I fell in love with them. And so this is my heavy bodies. It's student grade. I have the Basics by Liquitex. And then these are paints that I have for doll customizing. It's like hobby paint. It's a special kind that you have to use. You have to be careful what you put on the dolls because certain things will melt the plastic and not turn out very well. I have a drawer of Sassy right here. Just random Sassy stuff. These are cards that I have made. So yeah, just cards that I've made. And photos. Ooh, that's not good. And then we have random embellishments. These are older embellishments from the time when I was into kind of like florals and grungy things and prima-ish type of stuff. So all that. And by the way, on top of these is my large format printer, which is Canon Pixma Pro 100. I also have two small sewing machines there. They are by Genome, and that's a Genome New Home, and that is a Kenmore, but they're basically the same machine. Here is my Christmas drawer, which is quite messy. It's stuff that basically won't fit in my seasonal stuff, which is up there in 12 by 12 bags or 13 by 13 bags. So this is like dimensional bulky Christmas stuff, and this is dimensional bulky Halloween stuff. So punches and stuff and whatnot. Then right here we have foil. I'm not a big foiler, but I have foil, and then I also have this iron, a little craft iron that I had for an art project that I did before I started scrapbooking. Then we have a felt. I get my felt from this company, Benzie Designs, and so I purchased this. They make you buy it, which is a bit of a bummer, but this is like all of their colors on 3 different sheets, and I just wanted to have it so that you could easily make this, because I did buy like all of their colors. I bought 1 sheet of each of their colors, so I totally could have used my die cut machine and cut circles and made my own, but I didn't want to. So this way, if I have a project coming up and I don't have enough, I know I need to order more felt. I know exactly what my options are and what I should order. Then watercolor. This is watercolor paper and also mixed media paper in various sizes and forms, many spiral notebooks. I just kind of brought you through my hallway here. And now at the end of this little hallway, we have these 2 cubes stacked. My record player is on top, and I have a very inexpensive record player. Although it's better than the player I had before. So I actually bought one of those trendy suitcase ones that opens up, and I had post-consumer dissonance as soon as I bought it. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like that. It's not gonna be good enough. It's not gonna sound good. And there were terrible reviews on it, and I bought it anyways. And then I was like, as soon as it came, I didn't even really try it out. I might have opened it and tried it once, and then I just immediately packaged it up and brought it back. So I went to Best Buy and bought a proper turntable. It's not high-end, it's like the low end, but it does sound really fantastic. I love it. I have a very, very, very small collection of records, but I mostly use Apple Music for music. I don't really plan to be like hardcore into vinyl, but there were some records that I just wanted to be able to listen to in record format. So I got some of those albums. There's still a couple more that I'd like to get, but I'm not in a huge hurry to get them. That basket there is all extra adhesive refills. And then this is just like extra supplies. It's all stuff that I stocked up on or got too much of or got doubles by accident or whatever. Mostly staple supplies. And then card kits are right here. So these are some Christmas cards that I made with my colleagues. These are, oops, oh, that's gross, sorry. These are mostly Stampin' Up! Card kits from when I was a demo, and I would prepare kits to bring to parties, and then I'd keep all the leftovers. Sometimes I'd make like enough kits for doing 2 cards, but then once we get to the party, we'd only do 1 or whatever. So I have a bunch of extra card kits, and I also have some leftovers from this year's Christmas party that I did, kind of like a Stampin' Up! Demo type of thing where we made cards together. And then these are all just cards from, like, these are all classes, like card classes and stuff that I did when I was a Stampin' Up! Demo. Like, I did a lot of cards. Considering that I was only a demo for a very short time, like I think it was only a year or something. Anyhow, and I didn't even make any money or anything. Here's my third and last set of pegboard, and this pegboard holds all of my awkward tools that don't fit anywhere. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I do really like keeping my punch boards like this. I basically kind of like, I nest them. I store them on these hooks, and I layer them so that they're sort of nested like that. Because these punch boards are really, really difficult to store, I find. My circle cutter is also really difficult to store, so I keep it there, and the blades and stuff are right in there. Duct tape for mailouts and packing tape for mailouts, a duster, a crimper, T-square, iron for when I do sewing, which I don't do all that often, laminating, stitching, and piercing. These are stitching templates. These are laminating folders. Now, this piece right here is a former kitchen island. Scott and I actually bought that and made it. It was a kit that you got at Home Depot, and it came in all little pieces, and you had to stain it and put it together. And it was a really fun project to do, I guess. I seem to recall it being hard, like a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. But we've really enjoyed having that in our kitchen. in our old house, but when we moved to this house, because it's not attached to the floor, we were able to bring it with us. So it now lives down here. It was our winemaking table for a while, and then we had kids and we stopped doing that. So now it's here. It used to be flipped around the other way. There's a drawer in the other side of it, and I used to use that for things like screwdrivers and those sorts of things, post-it notes and command strips. But I flipped it around so that I could use it this way, because when this was against the wall, I could never flip it up and get more space out of it. So see, you can go like that, and then it becomes a bigger table, and somebody could actually sit there and scrap. I do have a stool, like it's a counter height stool in my back closet that I could use for if I had a third or a fourth person joining me for scrapbooking. So also this serves as a really nice staging place. So if I'm ever stepping out projects, or I have things that I have to lay out to organize or put into piles and stuff, it's really nice to have a big open space that doesn't have stuff usually stored on top of it. Down here is just like random storage. Some of it is doll stuff. And I used to have boxes underneath of it, but I cleared it all out. I'm trying to really get rid of a lot of the clutter in this room. I do love a cluttered room, but trying to kind of cut back on that because it can be a little overwhelming. Then, as I mentioned, these are my dolls. I am downsizing. I collect pull-ups, and a lot of these are either, so I have already downsized and I got rid of a lot. I had like more than 30 at one point. Of these, some of these are already for sale and some of these will be for sale. I can't quite decide what I'm keeping. I also have 3 brand new dolls right there that I'm keeping at least one of, and then this one back here that's still in the box is a really, really old, difficult to find one, especially difficult to find new in the box. So my daughter really wants me to keep her, so I think I might keep her for my daughter. Some of these are going to be sold. I can't quite decide. Some of them are really, really rare, so the dark-skinned dolls are extremely rare. And I love that I have a real multicultural group. I have 3 non-white dolls, and usually these dolls are known for being extremely pale. So, and I also have that kind of tan looking one there. I made him. And I also made this one right here with the glittery lids. So anyhow, some of these are for sale, and I don't know, obviously this is gonna shrink. My goal is for all of these dolls to fit on one shelf, so that means I need to get rid of at least 4, plus there's 3 right there. So, but I'm not including my Peter Pan dolls. My Peter Pan dolls will stay where they're at, but I'd like these guys to all fit on one shelf, so I've got some paring down to do. And then these are storage cases. Obviously this is some cards that are in the middle of being made. Empty space right here, which is nice for, I don't know what I could store on that. Then as I come over here, this is like a whole other section of my room. This is where Stephanie or Tanya sit when they come. I have put this, I just Velcroed this to the side of my desk just to cover up all the wires and stuff because this is pretty ugly. I hot glued Velcro to my desk, and then I sewed Velcro to this piece of fabric and just made a curtain out of it. This is a little night table that has my, this is what I call the wings. These are supplies that I have off in the wings. They're ready to be used soon. So these are actually things that I planned to use in January, and I haven't used them yet. It's like the 20th of January, so I better get with the program there, eh? So that's that, and then I've got some cleaning supplies down there and a Stampin' Up! Garbage can. So right here we have, this is my current scrapbooking album, so this is where I'm putting the pages that I'm making these days. And then this is my current Project Life album. That's where my Project Life pages go. These are some Project Life templates. This is an old album of high school photos from my, like, not just high school, mostly childhood years. I actually don't have much from my high school years, but it's all in Project Life format, but without any journaling or embellishing. It's basically just using Becky Higgins' page protectors to store a bunch of photos. These are ceramic tiles from upstairs in my house, and those are papers that I can use for doll photography. That one's empty. These are like jewelry making supplies. These are layouts that are done and waiting to go into that album. And then these are class layouts. My classes are all delivered over on Patreon now, so those are really Patreon layouts. And then these are doll props and sewing stuff. This is the spot where Stephanie or Tanya or whatever friend is joining me sits. And also I have a teenager in the neighborhood who sometimes joins me in here to help me out with different administrative tasks and so on. So that's her basket right there. And then I have another one of these. So I've got 2 more sets of those shelving units that have those brackets on the wall. Love those. So this shelf here has a basket that has lenses and print packs. There's no print pack right now, so it's just camera lenses. Then I have a basket for my mint supplies and the machine. And then I have my wire jig. That is that children's craft tool that I got for my birthday. 2 vintage cameras. And then I have a little shelf. Like, what I mean by little is it's squat, but it's long this way. It's where I keep my oversized paper for my large format printer. I keep bubble wrap in that and other kind of packing supplies that I can use for mark making for mixed media. Then I have seasonal stuff in there, mostly Christmas and Halloween. And then that is an album so there's a big bag of stuff in there that a YouTuber sent me, and I've tried to reach out to them to say thank you. And if you're watching, Barbara, thank you so much for sending me such wonderful Christmas supplies, all personalized, and I can't wait to use it. I got it a little bit too late in this season to be able to plan to use it this year, but I have an idea of what to do with it for next year, so I'm going to hang on to it. Thank you so much. And she also sent me that little snap album to put it in, so look for that about 11 months from now. And then over here, so over here, this is like office supply papers. This is stuff for Bria when she's like doing mail outs and stuff for me. And this is sewing machine accessories. This is a tea that I just made from Creative Memories. I literally stopped recording my Scraproom tour and made that in about half an hour because I realized I needed to get that done because you can only order those for the month of January. And so I realized, wait a minute, I better get that done. Above that, I have some photography supplies, including my umbrella for my flash for when I do photos of my layouts. Then I have a box of planner stuff. Above that is my alphabet graveyard, which is where I store thickers that have been used so much that I can't really make titles out of them anymore, but I might want to use them just for letters or for like design elements or mixed media or something. I have my Copic markers right there. This is something from my wedding. A decoration from my wedding. This is a place where I sometimes do doll photography or miniature photography, and I have different walls and floors and stuff that I can put up there depending on what I want to do. I don't really do that all that often, but it kind of comes in fits and spurts. So I have this space there, but when it's not used for that, then it's another scrapbooking space. I have a folding chair in my closet there that I could pull out, and a third person could join me there. I do keep a stool in my room because I'm very short. And then these are my miniatures that I mentioned that I collect. They're remint. And I just keep them in these little storage containers. And then that's stuff that that I've acquired and don't really use anymore, kind of slash, I don't know, I might be selling or getting rid of it in some way. The last storage area is, again, I need support for my table, so there has to be these Jetmex cubes every so often, and so again I just turn this one sideways so I can still use it for storage. So I keep my mixed media backgrounds that I make and haven't used right here. So this is a jelly plate background that I made, and if anything is really wrinkly I put it under here, and then that tray kind of holds it flat. So I've got some other backgrounds there. Page protectors. This is mostly big page protectors, so like full size 12 by 12. And then this is smaller page protectors, so the 6x8 and little flip pockets and whatnot. Then I also have page protectors in this binder here, and this is all pocket page protectors, and it's like a random... These albums aren't my favorite because they really collect cat hair, but it's like all random sizes and shapes of mostly Becky Higgins, but there's some other brands in there too. This is extra adhesive that I don't use very often. This is tags that are like not designer tags, but like basic shipping tags and stuff. And then this is my ribbon drawer. This is the only drawer that has broken in the years that I've been using these Jet Max. This one drawer has broken. I keep my ribbon in here along with a pair of scissors and a roll of tape, and I have a measuring, like I measured off the measurements so that I can just, everything is contained in this drawer. If I need ribbon, I can pull out the ribbon, I can cut the ribbon, I can retape it so that it doesn't unwind, and measure off how much I need. So that drawer has been really handy, although I don't use ribbon very often anymore, which is why I haven't fixed the drawer yet. I just leave it there broken. That's fine. So that's about it for this one. As you can tell, very, very long one this time. Thanks so much for watching. If you got to this point, you're either very, very, very interested in how people store things in their scrap rooms, which is like me. I love queuing up a whole bunch of really long videos into a playlist and watching them straight through for a good long time. Or perhaps you've fallen asleep on me, in which case, sweet dreams. And if you are still conscious at this point, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and check out these other videos, which are much more reasonable lengths. So take care and have a really great scrappy week.